The cold wind of Shanghai cut through the thin jacket of 8-year-old Zhao Yu as she stood on the corner of Nanjing Road. Her small fingers frozen around the neck of an old, battered violin. The instrument had been her mother's, the only thing she had left of the woman who had died bringing her into the world. Every day, Zhao Yu played the same melody. She didn't know where it came from. Her mother had hummed it to her in the womb, or so her late aunt had told her before the car accident that left Zhao Yu completely alone 3 months ago. The melody was haunting, beautiful, and impossibly sad, a song of love, loss, and longing that made passers-by stop and wipe tears from their eyes. On this particular evening, as the sun set over the city and the streetlights began to flicker on, Zhao Yu closed her eyes and played. The music poured out of her, each note a prayer, each phrase a memory of the mother she'd never known. She didn't notice the black luxury car that screeched to a halt in the middle of traffic. She didn't see the elderly woman in an expensive silk dress stumble out, pushing through the crowd with an urgency that made her driver chase after her in alarm. She only opened her eyes when a trembling hand touched her shoulder. "Child," the old woman whispered, her face pale as death. "Where did you learn that song?" Zhao Yu blinked up at her, taking in the elegant clothing, the jade jewelry, the aura of wealth and power that surrounded this stranger like a cloak. "My mama taught me," she said quietly, "before she died." The old woman, Grandma Wang, matriarch of one of China's most powerful families, felt her heart stop. The melody the child had been playing was the Wang family lullaby, a composition created by her late husband over 50 years ago. It had never been published, never been recorded. Only members of the Wang family knew it. "Who was your mother?" Grandma Wang demanded, her voice shaking. "What was her name?" "Li Mei," Zhao Yu answered, confusion clouding her young face. "She was a violinist. She died when I was born. My aunt raised me until she died too." That's single quotes Li Mei. The name hit Grandma Wang like a physical blow. 9 years ago, a young violinist by that name had come to the Wang mansion, pregnant and desperate, begging to see Wang Xiang. Grandma Wang had turned her away, had given her money and told her she wasn't good enough for their family. She had believed the lies Secretary Tang had fed them, that Li Mei was a gold digger, a manipulator trying to trap her grandson. "Show me your left shoulder," Grandma Wang commanded, her hands shaking. Zhao Yu hesitated, then pulled down her collar, revealing a small birthmark in the shape of a crescent moon. Grandma Wang's knees buckled. For 400 years, every daughter born to the Wang family had carried that mark. It was their blessing, their legacy, their proof of bloodline. "You're my granddaughter," she breathed, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. "Oh heavens, you're my precious granddaughter." The crowd that had gathered gasped and whispered. Everyone in Shanghai knew the Wang family. Everyone knew they were worth billions. And everyone knew they hadn't had a daughter born in 4 centuries. Zhao Yu backed away, frightened by the intensity of the old woman's emotion. "I think you're confused, Grandma. My mama wasn't rich. We lived in a tiny apartment. My aunt worked 3 jobs to feed me. Take us to the hospital," Grandma Wang barked at her driver. "We're doing a DNA test now." As they helped Zhao Yu into the car, the child still clutching her violin like a lifeline, none of them noticed the black van that began following them through the Shanghai traffic. 24 hours later, Wang Zheyan stood in his corner office at Wang Group headquarters, staring at a DNA report that made no sense. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. The words blurred as tears filled his eyes. He had a daughter, an 8-year-old daughter who had been living on the streets while he worked in his climate-controlled office. A child who shared the blood of the woman he'd loved and lost 9 years ago. Li Mei. The memories crashed over him like waves. Her smile, her music, the way she'd looked at him with such trust, such love, and the day he'd confronted her with the evidence. Secretary Tang had provided bank statements showing she'd taken 10 million yuan and disappeared. Testimony from witnesses who claimed she'd bragged about trapping him with a fake pregnancy. He'd believed the lies. He'd let her walk away, and she'd died alone, giving birth to their daughter. "Sir," his assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your grandmother is here with a child." Wang Jane's hands shook as he pressed the button. "Send them in." The door opened and Grandma Wang entered, holding the hand of a small girl in worn, clean clothes. The child looked up at him with eyes that were achingly familiar. Lei's eyes, dark and deep and full of cautious hope. "Papa," Xiao Yu whispered. The word shattered him. Wang Zun fell to his knees, his composed billionaire facade crumbling completely. "I'm so sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. They told me your mother was lying. I never knew you existed. I never would have." Xiao Yu walked forward slowly and touched his face with her small hand. "Mama said you were a good man. He was tricked. She said I should never hate you. She said," her voice broke, "she said you would have loved me if you'd known." Wang Zun pulled her into his arms and wept like he hadn't wept since the day Li Mei had walked out of his life. In her luxury apartment across the city, Secretary Tang threw a crystal glass against the wall, watching it shatter with savage satisfaction. For 9 years she had worked beside Wang Zun, loving him, wanting him, believing that eventually he would see her worth. She had eliminated Li Mei. She had forged documents, paid off witnesses, destroyed the woman who stood between her and her obsession. And now the child, the living proof of Wang Jane's love for another woman, had returned to ruin everything. "Not this time," Tang hissed into her phone. "I want that child gone. I don't care how. Make it look like an accident. And do it before Wang Zayan gets too attached." She hung up and stared at her reflection in the broken glass on the floor. She barely recognized the woman staring back, beautiful but hollow, successful but empty, loved by no one. But she would have won Zayan, one way or another, even if she had to destroy an innocent child to get him. That night, as Xiao Yu slept in a bedroom larger than the entire apartment she'd shared with her aunt, Wang Zun sat beside her bed and watched her breathe. Chun Ling, the journalist who had saved his mother and daughter from a kidnapping attempt earlier that day, brought him tea and sat quietly beside him. "She looks like her mother," Chung Ling observed softly. "She has Li Mei's spirit too," Wang Zian replied. "Brave, kind, forgiving." He looked at Chun Ling with red-rimmed eyes. "How do I make up for 8 years? How do I give her back the childhood she lost?" "You can't," Chun Ling said gently. "But you can give her a future. You can make sure she never feels abandoned again." Wang Zayan reached out and took Chun Ling's hand, surprising them both. "Thank you for saving them, for caring about a child you didn't even know." Chun Ling looked down, their intertwined fingers. "I was like her once, orphaned, alone, fighting every day to prove I deserved to exist." She met his gaze. I saw myself in her eyes, and I decided, Not this child. This one gets a happy ending. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither was ready to name. A scream shattered the peace. Wang Ziyan and Chun Ling rushed to the window to see three masked men climbing the garden wall, heading toward the mansion. The security alarms began to blare. "They're coming for her again," Chun Ling said, already moving toward the door. "Not while I'm alive," Wang Ziyan growled. The battle for Zhao Yu had only just begun. The morning after the attempted break-in, every newspaper in Shanghai carried the same headline: "Billionaire's secret love child found on streets." Wang Ziyan stood in his dining room, surrounded by tabloids that painted his daughter as a scandal, Li Mei as a gold digger, and himself as a deadbeat father who had abandoned his responsibilities. The words "bastard child," "illegitimate daughter," and "street urchin" jumped out from the pages like accusations. Zhao Yu sat at the long dining table, small and lost in her expensive new dress, reading one of the articles with tears streaming down her face. "Don't read that garbage," Wang Ziyan said, snatching the papers away and tearing them to shreds. But the damage was done. He could see it in his daughter's eyes. The doubt, the shame, the fear that perhaps she was a burden after all. "The board is demanding an emergency meeting," Grandma Wang announced, entering with her phone pressed to her ear. "They saying the scandal is damaging Wang Group's reputation. Stock prices dropped 3% this morning." Wang Zhen's jaw clenched. "Let them demand. My daughter is more important than stock prices." But even as he said it, he knew the fight was far from over. Someone had leaked this story to every media outlet in the city at exactly the same time. Someone with access to Wang family private information. Someone who wanted Zhao Yu gone. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "The child doesn't belong in your world. Send her away, or I'll destroy her completely." Chun Ling sat in her small apartment, surrounded by monitors displaying hospital records, police reports, and archived news articles. She'd been investigating all night, and what she'd found made her blood run cold. 9 years ago, Li Mei had been admitted to a public hospital, alone and in labor. The medical records showed complications. The attending physician had noted, "Patient in severe distress, no family present." Expressed fear for her life and her baby's safety. Mentioned being forced out by powerful people. Li Mei had died of a hemorrhage shortly after giving birth. The baby Zhao Yu had been placed with Li Mei's sister. But 3 months ago, that sister had died in a car accident. The police report claimed brake failure, but when Chun Ling dug deeper, she found photos from the crash scene. The brake lines had been cleanly cut. There had been scratch marks around the door locks suggesting forced entry, and the investigation had been closed within 48 hours by order of Chief Inspector Zhao. Shan Ling pulled up information on Chief Inspector Zhao. He was one of Shanghai's most powerful police officials, known for his connections to wealthy families and his ability to make investigations disappear. His wife was Xiao Ling, owner of Xiao Entertainment Empire, worth billions in her own right. And 25 years ago, Zhao Ling had been engaged to Wang Shen's father before he'd broken it off to marry Wang Shen's mother. "Oh God," Chun Ling whispered, the pieces falling into place. "This isn't about Zhao Yu at all. This is about revenge." Her phone rang. It was Wang Ziyan. "Miss Chun, I need your help. Can you come to the mansion immediately?" "I'm already on my way," she replied. "And I know who's behind everything." At the prestigious elite music academy, Zhao Yu's first day of school was a nightmare. The other children, all from wealthy families, whispered and pointed as she walked down the hallways. In class, a girl named Melissa, whose father owned a real estate empire, stood up and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Teacher, why is a street beggar in our class? She probably has diseases." The classroom erupted in laughter. Xiao Yu felt her face burn with shame. She wanted to disappear, to run back to her corner under the bridge, where at least no one pretended to accept her while mocking her behind her back. She ran out of the classroom, tears blinding her, and found herself in an empty music room. She pulled out her violin, or her mother's violin, the one thing that had never judged her, and began to play. The door opened. Xiao Yu looked up, ready to be mocked again, but instead found a boy her age with kind eyes. "That was beautiful," he said. "Quan, my dad owns a music production company." He sat down beside her. "Don't let them make you quit. They're just jealous, because you're better than they'll ever be, and you didn't need money to become that good." It was the first kind thing another child had said to us since she'd arrived in the Quang family. Xiao Yu managed a small smile. "Want to be friends?" Quan asked. "Really?" Xiao Yu's voice was small, disbelieving. "Really?" Quan confirmed. For the first time since the DNA test, Xiao Yu felt a tiny spark of hope. In the Wang Group boardroom, 15 powerful executives sat around a massive table, all of them looking at Wang Zuan with varying degrees of disapproval and concern. "This scandal is unacceptable," board member Chun stated bluntly. "Clients are questioning our family values. Investors are nervous. You need to issue a statement distancing yourself from the child. She is my daughter," Wang Zuan said through clenched teeth. "I will not distance myself from her." "Then we have no choice," another board member said. "We're calling for a vote of no confidence. You're unfit to lead Wang Group while embroiled in this scandal." Secretary Tang stood in the corner, taking notes with a small, satisfied smile on her face. She had orchestrated this perfectly: the media leak, the board pressure, the systematic isolation of Wang Zern from his power base. Soon he would have to choose his company or his daughter, and either choice would break him. The door burst open. Chun Ling strode in, carrying a thick folder of documents. "Sorry I'm late," she said cheerfully, though her eyes were hard as steel. "Traffic was terrible. Also, I've been busy gathering evidence of corporate espionage, media manipulation, and conspiracy to commit fraud." She slammed the folder on the table. Photos spilled out. Secretary Tang meeting with journalists, bank transfers, text messages arranging the media leak. Secretary Tang has been selling Wang family secrets to the media for years, Chung Ling announced. And she specifically orchestrated this attack on Xiao Yu. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Secretary Tang went pale. "That's a lie," Tang protested. "She's fabricating evidence." Chun Ling pulled out her phone and played a recording. Tang's voice filled the room. "Make sure every paper runs the story about Wang Xin's illegitimate child. Paint the mother as a gold digger. Make them hate the child. I'll pay double." Wang Zun stood slowly, his face a mask of cold fury. "You've been my secretary for 9 years. I trusted you. I defended you. And this whole time you've been destroying my family." Tang's composure cracked. "I did it for us," she cried. "Don't you see, I love you. I've always loved you. That street girl and her mother were going to ruin everything we could have had together. Wang Zhen's voice was dangerously quiet. "There was never a we, Tang Fei. I have never, not once, given you any indication that I returned your feelings. But you would have, Tang insisted desperately. If Li Mei hadn't gotten pregnant, if she hadn't trapped you, you would have seen me. You would have loved me. You destroyed an innocent woman's life, Wang Zheyan said. You orphaned my daughter. You made Li Mei die alone and afraid. His voice shook with barely contained rage. Security, remove her and call the police. She's being charged with fraud, defamation, and conspiracy. As security guards grabbed her arms, Tang's mask of composure shattered completely. You'll regret this, she screamed as they dragged her away. That child will destroy you, just like her mother. I'll make sure she suffers for this. I'll make sure. The door slammed shut, cutting off her threats. Chun Ling turned to the board members, who sat in stunned silence. Now, gentlemen, let's talk about real PR. Instead of hiding Wang Zhen's daughter, let's celebrate her, a billionaire who takes responsibility for his child, who fights for her despite public pressure. That's heroic. That's the story we should be telling. Board member Chen slowly nodded. The media does love a redemption narrative. Exactly, Chen Ling agreed. I'm writing an exclusive for Shanghai Truth Daily, the little violinist who stole a billionaire's heart. By tomorrow, Xiao, you won't be a scandal. She'd be a symbol of hope. Wang Zun looked at Chun Ling with something that might have been awe, or might have been something deeper. You're incredible. She met his gaze. I'm just doing what's right. The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken feelings, all in favor of keeping Wang Zun as CEO. Board member Chun called out. Every hand in the room rose. That evening, Xiao Yu was scheduled to perform at the school's weekly showcase. As she stood backstage in a simple but elegant dress, holding her worn violin, she could hear the whispers from the audience. The street kid is actually performing. This should be embarrassing. Poor Wang family, having to acknowledge her. Xiao Yu's hands shook. In the front row, she could see Wang Zun, Grandma Wang, and Chong Ling, her new family, watching with encouraging smiles. But she could also see the judgmental faces of the wealthy parents who had already decided she didn't belong. The principal introduced her with obvious reluctance. And now, our newest student will perform. Please welcome Wang Xiaoyu. Scattered, reluctant applause. From backstage, Melissa called out loudly, "Look at that cheap violin, probably bought at a pawn shop." Xiao Yu felt tears forming. She almost ran, almost gave up. Then she remembered her mother, Li Mei, who had died alone, but had still taught her daughter through that violin to be brave, to be strong, to let music speak when words failed. Xiao Yu raised the violin and spoke clearly into the microphone. This violin belonged to my mother, Li Mei. She was poor. She was alone. But she was the most talented violinist in Shanghai. My mother taught me that music isn't about expensive instruments. It's about the heart behind the notes. This is for you, Mama. She began to play. The music that poured out of her was devastating in its beauty. It told her mother's story, the joy of young love, the pain of rejection, the hope of new life, the sorrow of death, and finally, the peace of forgiveness. Every note was perfect, but more than that, every note was true. It was the sound of a child who had known hunger and cold and loneliness, but who had never lost her capacity for love. The audience sat frozen. Parents who had been sneering moments before found tears streaming down their faces. Teachers gasped. Even the students who had bullied her stood silent, stunned. Wang Zun wept openly, seeing his lost love in their daughter's music. Cheng Ling held her hand over her heart, moved beyond words. Grandma Wang sobbed, mourning the daughter-in-law she had rejected and the years they had all lost. When Xiao Yu finished, there was a moment of absolute, breathless silence. Then the entire hall erupted. People leapt to their feet. The standing ovation went on for 5 minutes. Parents who had whispered insults now shouted "Bravo!" The principal wiped tears from her eyes. Even Melissa stood, clapping, her face wet with tears she didn't understand. Wang Zane rushed to the stage and swept Zhao Yu into his arms. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. "Your mother would be so proud. Do you think she heard me, Papa? From heaven. She heard every note, baby. Every single note." As the crowd continued to applaud, no one noticed the woman in the back of the auditorium, watching with cold, calculating eyes. Zhao Ling had seen enough. The child was more dangerous than she'd anticipated, capable of winning hearts, of changing minds, of undoing years of careful planning. Zhao Ling pulled out her phone and made a call. "Move to phase 2, she said quietly. "It's time to take the child." Late that night, as Xiao Yu slept peacefully, for the first time since her life had changed, Wang Zun sat in her room with Ling, neither of them wanting to leave her unprotected. "You should get some rest," Ling said softly. "You've had an impossible day." "I missed 8 years of bedtimes," Wang Zun replied, watching his daughter's peaceful face. "I'm not missing another one." Ling smiled. "She's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one." He paused, then looked at Ling. "Why are you helping us? You barely know us. You could have written a tabloid hit piece and made a fortune." Ling was quiet for a moment. "I was Xiao Yu once. Different circumstances, but the same loneliness. My parents died when I was 10. I grew up in foster care, fighting every day to prove I deserved to exist." She looked at the sleeping child. "When I saw her on that street, playing with tears streaming down her face, I saw myself, and I decided, not this child. This one gets a happy ending." Wang Zayan reached out and took her hand. "Thank you for saving her, for saving us, for seeing us when no one else would." Their fingers intertwined. Ling's breath caught. "Ling," Wang Zuan said softly, "stay. Please. Zhao, you feel safe when you're here." And he paused, vulnerable in a way he hadn't been in 9 years. "So do I." Before Ling could respond, Zhao Yu stirred. "Miss Chun, Papa, are you still here?" "We're here, sweetheart," they said in unison. "Good. Don't leave. I had a nightmare about being alone again." "We're not leaving," Ling promised. "I swear it." She sat on one side of the bed, Wang Zon on the other. Both of them held Zhao Yu's hands as she drifted back to sleep. Outside, in the shadows beyond the mansion's walls, 3 black vans waited, and in the lead van, Zhao Ling smiled. Tomorrow, everything would change. The next morning, Secretary Tang was found dead in her holding cell. The police ruled it suicide, but Ling, examining the autopsy photos that a sympathetic officer leaked to her, saw the needle mark on Tang's neck, the telltale sign of a fast-acting poison. Someone had silenced Tang before she could reveal who else was involved in the conspiracy against Lei Mei and Xiao Yu, and Ling has very good idea who that someone was. Grandma Wang sat in her private study, hands trembling as she held an old photograph. The image showed a young woman, beautiful, elegant, and cold-eyed, standing beside Wang and Jane's father at their engagement party 25 years ago. Wang An stood in the doorway, having been summoned by his grandmother's urgent call. "You said you knew who was behind everything. Who is it?" Grandma Wang looked up, aged beyond her years by guilt and fear. 25 years ago, Before your father married your mother, he was engaged to another woman. Her name was Zhao Ling. She was from a powerful family, beautiful and accomplished. Everyone assumed they would marry. What happened? Your father fell in love with someone else, your mother. A simple school teacher with no money, no connections, nothing but a kind heart and a brilliant mind. Grandma Wanger's voice broke. I supported his choice. I helped him break the engagement. And Zhao Ling. She never forgave us. Wang Zun felt cold dread settling in his stomach. Zhao Ling, as in Zhao Entertainment Empire. As in the wife of Chief Inspector Zhao. The same. Grandma Wang stood, walking to the window. She married the inspector a year later, a marriage of convenience and power, not love. She spent 25 years building an empire, gaining influence, making connections, and all the while she was waiting for the perfect moment to destroy us. But why Li Mei? Why Zhao Yu? They had nothing to do with what happened between you and her. Because the cruelest revenge isn't to hurt the person who wronged you, Grandma Wang said bitterly. It's to hurt the people they love. Zhao Ling waited until you found happiness with Li Mei, then she destroyed it. And now that you've found Zhao Yu, she'll destroy that too. Chun Ling, who had been listening from the hallway, entered the room. Secretary Tang was Zhao Ling's daughter. Both Wang Zheyan and Grandma Wang stared at her in shock. Chun Ling laid out the documents she'd gathered. Tang Fei was born 24 years ago to an unwed mother who gave her up for adoption to avoid scandal. I traced the adoption records. The birth mother was Zhao Ling. Oh God, Grandma Wang whispered. Zhao Ling killed her own daughter. She didn't know, Chun Ling said grimly. Tang Fei spent years working her way into Wang Group, trying to get close to Wang Zun, all while secretly serving her biological mother without knowing their connection. She was a weapon aimed at you by the woman who gave birth to her. And when Tang became a liability, Wang Zun concluded, his voice hollow, Zhao Ling had her eliminated, not knowing she was murdering her own child. The horror of it settled over them like a shroud. We need to tell her, Grandma Wang said. It's the only leverage we have. If Zhao Ling realizes what she's done, it might break her. Chun Ling finished. Or it might make her more dangerous. A woman who's lost everything has nothing left to lose. Wang Gen's phone buzzed. A video message from an unknown number. He opened it with shaking hands. The screen showed Zhao Yu sitting in a beautiful, unfamiliar room, looking confused but unharmed. A young girl sat beside her, maybe 12 years old, with a sweet smile. Then the camera shifted, and Zhao Ling stepped into frame. She was elegant, composed, and terrifying in her calm. Hello, Wang Zhao, Zhao Ling said smoothly. I believe I have something that belongs to you. At Elite Music Academy, chaos reigned. Security guards ran through hallways. Teachers shouted into phones. The principal stood in her office, pale and shaking, trying to explain to Commander Liu how a child, under armed protection, had simply vanished. She went to the restroom with another student. The principal stammered. A girl named Lily, who just transferred this week. When the bodyguards went to check on them, they were both gone. The bathroom window was open. Chun Ling, who had rushed to the school immediately, pulled up the admission records on her tablet. Lily Zhao, transferred from Beijing. Guardian listed as Zhao Ling. She planted a spy in my daughter's school, Wang Zun said, his voice deadly quiet. She got close to Zhao Yu, gained her trust, and then took her. His phone rang. It was Zhao Ling's video call. Wang Zheyan answered, his hand clenched so tightly around the phone that Chun Ling worried it might crack. Where is she? Wang Zhen demanded. The screen showed Xiao Yu in what appeared to be a luxurious mansion bedroom. She looked scared but unharmed. Lily sat beside her, holding her hand comfortingly. She's safe, Xiaoling said, her face appearing on screen. Much safer than she would be with your family. If you hurt her, hurt her. Xiaoling laughed. Look around, Wang Zian. Does this look like I'm hurting her? She's in a mansion. She's being treated like a princess. She's finally being protected from people who destroy everything they touch. Xiao Yu's voice came through the phone, small and frightened. Papa, where am I? This lady says she's your family's friend, that she's protecting me. Is that true? Xiao Yu, listen to me carefully, Wang Zhouyin started, but Zhao Ling interrupted. Careful, Wang Zhouyin. You don't want to scare the child. She's already so traumatized. Poor thing, never knowing if people want her for herself or for her family's money. Wang Zhen could see the doubt creeping into his daughter's eyes. Zhao Ling was already working her poison. Papa, Zhao Yu said, her voice breaking, why do people keep attacking me? Is it because I'm a burden, because I ruin everything? Nitrogen monoxide. Wang Zhen's voice cracked. Baby, you're not a burden. You're my daughter. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, is she? Zhao Ling's voice was silk smooth and venomous. Then why did you abandon her mother? Why did Li Mei die alone and afraid? Because of your family, Wang Zun. Your grandmother rejected her. Your father's legacy destroyed her. And you believed lies instead of fighting for the woman you claimed to love. Tears streamed down Xiao Yu's face. Papa, is that true? Did you abandon Mama? I was tricked, Wang Zun pleaded. I didn't know, or didn't care. Zhao Ling placed a gentle hand on Xiao Yu's shoulder, the picture of concerned protector. Face it, Wang Zun. Your family destroys everyone they touch. First, they destroyed my happiness. Then they destroyed Li Mei, and now this precious child will be destroyed too. Unless I save her dots, single quotes. Chun Ling stepped into view of the camera. Xiao Yu, listen to me. That woman is lying. She's the one who killed your mother. She's the one who made your aunt crash her car. She wants to hurt you. Zhao Ling smiled coldly. Such wild accusations. Do you have proof, Miss Chun? Oh wait, you broke into police archives to steal files. That's illegal. You could go to prison. I have the photos, Chunling insisted. The evidence, the truth. Truth? Zhao Ling laughed. Whose truth? Mine says Li Mei was a reckless driver who got what she deserved, and the police agree with me. Don't they, dear? She held up her phone, showing a text from Chief Inspector Zhao confirming the case was closed. Zhao Yu was sobbing now, overwhelmed and confused. I don't understand. Everyone's lying. Everyone's fighting. I just want it to stop. Xiao Ling's expression softened with false sympathy. Oh, sweet child, you're right. They are fighting. Over you, because you're valuable. But here's the thing. I don't want your money. I don't want your father. I just want to keep you safe from the people who destroyed your mother. Really? Hope flickered in Zhao Yu's tear-filled eyes. Really? Stay with me for a few days. Let the adults sort out their mess. And then you can decide where you want to live. No pressure. No manipulation. Just choice. Wang Zhen's heart was breaking. Don't listen to her, Xiao Yu. Please, Xiao. Yu looked directly at the camera, her young face torn with confusion and pain. Papa, I need time to think. I need to understand what's real and what's lies. The screen went black. Wang Zheyan stood frozen, the dead phone in his hand. I lost her. I lost my daughter. Ling put her arms around him. No, we'll get her back. I promise you, we'll get her back. But even as she said it, she wondered if they would be in time. In the Zhao mansion, Zhao Yu sat on a luxurious bed, clutching her violin and trying not to cry. Everything was so confusing. Her papa had seemed genuine in his love, but Zhaoling's words made a terrible kind of sense. The Wang family was rich and powerful. They had rejected her mother. Maybe they would hurt her too, eventually. A knock on the door. Lily entered with hot chocolate. Feeling any better? Lily asked, sitting beside her. I don't know what to feel, Xiao Yu admitted. Your mum seems nice, but Papa seems nice too. And they both say the other is lying. Lily was quiet for a moment, then said softly, Can I tell you a secret? Xiao Yu nodded. My mum isn't always nice, Lily confessed. She's angry, a lot. At the world, at people who hurt her. And sometimes, her voice dropped to barely a whisper. Sometimes she uses people to get revenge. Even me. What do you mean? I mean, I didn't want to trick you. I didn't want to bring you here. Tears filled Lily's eyes, but my mum said if I loved her, I would help her. And I just wanted her to love me back. Zhao Yu reached out and held Lily's hand. For a moment, the two girls, both lonely, both hurt, both used as pawns in an adult war, sat together in silent understanding. Do you think my papa really loves me? Xiao Yu asked quietly. Lily thought about the man she'd seen on the video call, broken and desperate. Yes, she said finally. I think he loves you very much. Then I need to go home. My mum won't let you leave. Then we have to find a way to escape. Lily looked at Zhao Yu with new respect. You're brave. My mama taught me to be brave, even when I'm scared. Outside the door, Ling listened to the conversation, her face hardening. The child was stronger than she'd anticipated, which meant she would need to break her more thoroughly. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Bring me the psychological manipulation specialist, and prepare the isolation room. If the child won't cooperate willingly, we'll have to use stronger methods. Ling sat in her apartment surrounded by files and evidence, putting together the final pieces of the puzzle. She had traced Ling's activities over the past 9 years, the bribes, the blackmail, the systematic elimination of anyone who knew about Li Mei. But there was one piece that didn't fit. 9 years ago, when Li Mei had been driven out of Shanghai, Secretary Tang would have been only 15 years old. She couldn't have orchestrated everything alone. Ling pulled up adoption records again, looking for any connection between Tang Fei and Ling before the adoption. And there it was, a sealed file that took her 3 hours of hacking to access. The file contained a single photograph. Ling, 19 years old and heavily pregnant, standing outside an adoption agency. The date stamp was 24 years ago. But there was more. Ling zoomed in on the background of the photo. Another woman stood partially visible, elegant, wearing expensive jewelry. Ling enhanced the image and felt her blood run cold. It was Grandma Wang. Grandma Wang had been at the adoption agency 24 years ago when Ling gave up her baby, which meant Grandma Wang had known about Ling's daughter all along. Ling grabbed her phone and called Wang Zuan. We need to talk to your grandmother, right now. Because I think she's been keeping secrets that could save Xiao Yu. In the Wang mansion study, Grandma Wang faced her grandson and Ling with tears streaming down her face. You knew, Wang Zhang said, his voice hollow. You knew Zhao Ling had a daughter. You knew all along. I did, Grandma Wang confessed. 24 years ago, Zhao Ling came to me. She was pregnant, unmarried, terrified of scandal. She begged me to help her find a good family for the baby. I arranged the adoption. I thought I was helping her. But you used it against her later, didn't you? Chun Ling's voice was hard. When Wang Zhen's father wanted to break the engagement, you threatened to reveal her secret. Grandma Wang nodded, shame etched into every line of her face. I told her that if she didn't let him go gracefully, I would tell everyone about her illegitimate child. I would destroy her reputation forever. She had no choice but to agree. So she married Chief Inspector Zhao, Chun Ling concluded, a man she didn't love. And she spent 25 years building power so that no one could ever threaten her again. I created the monster she became, Grandma Wang whispered. Every cruel thing she's done, every life she's destroyed, it all started with me. Wang Zheng looked at his grandmother with something like horror. You're the villain of this story. I know. Grandma Wang's voice was broken. And now my sins are being visited on an innocent child. On your child. Chen Ling's phone buzzed. It was a message from an anonymous source, someone inside the police department. The message contained a file labeled Li Mei, Confidential Investigation. Chun Ling opened it and gasped. The file contained crime scene photos from Li Mei's sister's accident, but there was also a witness statement that had been suppressed. A security camera from a nearby building had captured footage of the accident. The video showed a black car deliberately ramming the sister's vehicle off the road, and the license plate was registered to Zhao Entertainment Empire. She murdered Zhao Yu's aunt, Chun Ling breathed. She's been systematically eliminating everyone connected to Li Mei for years, and Zhao Yu is the last one left. Wang Zun stood abruptly. We're ending this. Tonight, I'm going to Zhao's mansion, and I'm bringing my daughter home. It's a trap, Chun Ling warned. Zhao Ling wants you to come. She'll have you arrested the moment you set foot on her property. I don't care. I'm not leaving my daughter with that psychopath for one more night. Chun Ling grabbed his arm. Then we do this smart. We need leverage, something that will break Zhao Ling's control. We tell her about Tang Fei, Grandma Wang said quietly. We tell her that she killed her own daughter, and we make her choose, release Zhao Yu, or have her greatest sin exposed to the world. Wang Zun looked at his grandmother with new understanding. You're willing to expose your own role in this, your own crimes? I've already lost my honor, Grandma Wang said. I won't lose my great-granddaughter too. Single quotes at midnight. Wang Zun stood outside the Zhao mansion gates, surrounded by police cars and news vans that Chun Ling had strategically alerted. If Zhao Ling tried to harm Zhao Yu or arrest Wang Zhu, the whole world would be watching. He called Zhao Ling's number. She answered on the first ring. Come to collect your daughter, Wang Zun. How touching. I've come to tell you the truth, Wang Zun said. About Secretary Tang. There was a long pause. What about her? Her full name was Tang Fei, born 24 years ago to an unwed mother who gave her up for adoption to protect her reputation. So, what does that have to do with me? Wang Zun took a deep breath. You were that mother, Zhao Ling. Secretary Tang was your daughter, the baby you gave up 24 years ago. And 3 days ago, you had her killed to protect your secrets. The silence that followed was deafening. When Zhao Ling spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. You're lying. I have the adoption records, Chonling said, stepping forward. Birth certificates. DNA, evidence from the autopsy. Tang Fei was yours. She spent years trying to get close to Wang Zayan because she was searching for her biological mother without knowing she was working for you. And you murdered your own child. A scream echoed from inside the mansion, a sound of pure, primal anguish. The gates burst open. Zhao Ling stumbled out, makeup smeared with tears, looking decades older than she had hours before. No, she gasped. No, 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 not my baby. Not my Tang Fei. She was supposed to be safe. I gave her up to keep her safe. Wang Zun felt a flicker of pity despite everything. You killed her, Zhao Ling, and now you're planning to kill my daughter. When does the revenge end? When everyone is dead. Zhao Ling looked at him with eyes that had seen too much pain, caused too much damage, lost too much. Your grandmother took everything from me. My child, my love, my life. Why should you get a happy ending when I never did? Because Xiao Yu is innocent, Chunling shouted. She's an 8-year-old child who's done nothing wrong. You, of all people, should understand what it's like to lose a child. Xiao Ling flinched as if struck. From inside the mansion, they heard a young voice calling out, "Mom, what's happening?" Lily appeared in the doorway, Zhao Yu beside her. "Mom?" Lily called out again, seeing her mother's broken state. "What's wrong?" Zhao Ling looked at her daughter, her remaining daughter, and something in her shattered completely. "I'm a monster," she whispered. "I've become the thing I hated most." She pulled a gun from her jacket. For a terrifying moment, everyone thought she would shoot Zhao Yu. Instead, she turned it on herself. Nitrogen monoxide. Multiple voices screamed at once. But it was Lily who moved fastest. She ran forward and grabbed her mother's arm, wrestling for the gun. "I won't let you. I won't lose you too." The gun went off, bang, the bullets flying harmlessly into the air. Zhao Ling collapsed, sobbing, as police surrounded her. She didn't resist. She had nothing left to fight for. "I'm sorry," she wept. "I'm so sorry. To everyone. To Tang Fei. To Li Mei. To that innocent child. I'm so sorry." Single quotes. Xiao Yu, who had witnessed everything, walked slowly toward Zhao Ling. Everyone tensed, unsure what the child would do. She knelt down beside the broken woman and said softly, "My mama used to say, it's never too late to do the right thing. You can start now." Zhao Ling looked up at the child with wonder and despair. "How can you be so kind, after everything I've done? Because hate only makes more hate," Xiao Yu said simply. "And I'm tired of hate." As police led Zhao Ling away in handcuffs, she looked back at Lily one last time. "Be better than I was. Live a good life. Be happy." Lily stood crying, torn between love for her mother and horror at what she'd done. Wang Zern scooped Zhao Yu into his arms, holding her so tightly she squeaked. "You're safe. You're safe. I've got you." Chun Ling wrapped her arms around both of them, and for a long moment they simply held each other as the nightmare finally ended. But one mystery remained. Grandma Wang stepped forward, her face aged with guilt, and addressed the assembled media. "I have a confession to make," she said, "about my role in creating this tragedy." The media conference that followed would become legendary in Shanghai. Grandma Wang, one of the most powerful matriarchs in China, stood before cameras and confessed everything, how she had blackmailed Zhao Ling 25 years ago, how she had rejected Li Mei 9 years ago, how her pride and cruelty had set in motion a chain of events that destroyed countless lives. I am the villain of this story, she said, tears streaming down her dignified face. Not Xiaoling, not entirely. I created her. I turned a heartbroken young woman into a monster. And I did it to protect my family's reputation, to protect my pride. She looked directly at Zhao Yu, who stood beside her father. You asked me for forgiveness, child, but I should be begging for yours. Your mother came to me for help, and I turned her away. I sent her to her death. Every night you spent cold and hungry on those streets, that's my fault. Every tear you cried, that's because of me. The media exploded with questions, but Grandma Wang held up her hand. I'm resigning from all my positions in Wang Group. I'm donating my personal fortune to establish the Li Mei Foundation for Orphaned and Homeless Children. And I will spend whatever years I have left making amends for my sins. She turned to Wang Zayan. You're the head of this family now. Make better choices than I did. Love better. Forgive better. Be better. The next day, public opinion shifted dramatically. The story was no longer about a scandal or an illegitimate child. It became about the power of forgiveness, the price of pride, and the redemption of a broken family. Chen Ling's article, The Little Violinist's Secret, went viral. Within 48 hours, it had been translated into 17 languages and shared millions of times. Hollywood producers called with movie offers. Book publishers competed for the rights to tell the story. But for Wang Zayan and Zhao Yu, the most important thing was simpler. They were finally, truly, a family. 1 week later, Zhao Yu stood backstage at the Elite Music Academy's Grand Concert Hall, preparing for the performance of her life. The auditorium was packed over 1,000 people, including media from around the world. All there to hear the little violinist who had captivated a nation. She was terrified. Chen Ling knelt beside her, adjusting her dress. Nervous. What if I mess up? What if people only came to see the scandal girl? Then you show them you're more than a scandal, Chen Ling said gently. You're an artist, and artists speak truth through their art. Wang Zun entered, carrying a velvet box. Zhao Yu, this belongs to your mother. He opened the box to reveal a beautiful jade pendant carved in the shape of a crescent moon, matching her birthmark. Your mother left this with Grandma Wang 9 years ago. She said, give this to my daughter when she's ready to shine. I think that time is now, that's single quotes. Zhao, you touched the pendant with trembling fingers. Mama knew I'd find you. She had faith, Wang Zuan said, fastening the necklace around her neck. In you. In us. In love. The stage manager called. 5 minutes. Miss Wang. Zhao Yu picked up her violin, her mother's violin, worn and loved, and full of memories, and walked toward the stage. Wang Zun and Chen Ling watched her go, holding hands without quite realizing when they'd reached for each other. The lights dimmed, the audience hushed. Zhao Yu walked onto the stage, a small figure in a simple white dress, the jade pendant catching the spotlight. She stood at the microphone and spoke clearly. Good evening. My name is Wang Xiaoyu, but before I was a Wang, I was just a girl with a violin and a dream. The audience was absolutely silent. Tonight, I'm playing a song my mother composed. She never got to perform it for the world. She died alone, rejected, afraid. But she never stopped believing in love, in forgiveness, in second chances. Single quotes. Xiao Yu's voice wavered but didn't break. This is for her. And for everyone who's ever been told they're not good enough. She raised her violin and began to play. The music that poured forth was transcendent. It told Li Mei's entire story, The joy of young love, the pain of rejection, the hope of pregnancy, the sorrow of abandonment, the agony of childbirth, and finally, in the last moments, peace and acceptance. But more than Li Mei's story, it told the story of every person who had ever loved and lost, who had ever fought and failed, who had ever hoped against hope. In the audience, Wang Ziyan wept openly, seeing his lost love in every note. Chunling clutched her chest, moved beyond words. Grandma Wang sobbed quietly, mourning all the years they'd lost. Quan, sitting in the student section, mouthed silently, "You're incredible." In the prison common room, on a small television, Zhao Ling watched and cried for the first time in 25 years, tears of genuine remorse for all the pain she'd caused, all the love she'd destroyed. Lily, sitting in the audience beside Grandma Wang, who had indeed begun adoption proceedings, held the old woman's hand and understood for the first time what true forgiveness looked like. Even the journalists who had come for a story found themselves crying, their cameras momentarily forgotten. The music built to a crescendo, all the pain, all the love, all the loss, all the hope, and then resolved into a final peaceful note that hung in the air like a prayer. Silence. Absolute, breathless silence. Then someone stood. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, the entire auditorium was on its feet, applauding, cheering, weeping. The standing ovation lasted 7 minutes. Critics would later call it the most moving performance they had ever witnessed. Xiao Yu stood on stage, tears streaming down her face, looking up toward the ceiling as if she could see through it to wherever her mother watched from beyond. "I did it, Mama," she whispered. "We did it." Wang Zun rushed onto the stage and swept her into his arms. Chunling followed, wrapping them both in an embrace. And for a perfect moment, surrounded by applause and love and light, they were simply a family broken and healed and whole. The after-party was held in the Wang Mansion Gardens, transformed into an elegant celebration. Xiao Yu, still wearing her jade pendant, was surrounded by genuine admirers, not people drawn by scandal, but by her talent and spirit. Quan had become her best friend. "You know, every music school in the world is going to want you now, right?" "I'm staying here, Zhao," you said firmly, "with my family." Smart choice. As the evening wore on and guests mingled, Wang Zuan pulled Chongling aside to a quiet corner of the garden under strings of fairy lights. "Chongling," he said, taking her hands in his, "I need to say something, and I can't wait anymore. Wang Zun, you saved my daughter. You saved me. You made me believe in love again when I thought I'd lost that ability forever." He looked into her eyes with complete vulnerability. "I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other a few weeks. But when you find something real, you hold on to it." Chunling felt tears forming. "I love you too. I love Xiao Yu. I love this chaotic, beautiful, broken family." Then Wang Zuan dropped to one knee, pulling a ring from his pocket. The garden went silent as people noticed. Xiao Yu gasped and ran closer. "Chunling, will you marry me? Be Xiao Yu's mother. Be my partner in everything." Before Chunling could answer, Xiao Yu shouted, "Say yes, please say yes." The crowd laughed. Chunling laughed through her tears. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Wang Zun slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her as the crowd erupted in applause. Xiao Yu ran forward and jumped into their arms, nearly knocking them over. "I'm getting a mom," she squealed. "A real mum." Grandma Wang stood nearby, watching the scene with a mixture of joy and sorrow. She had done terrible things, made unforgivable choices. But perhaps, just perhaps, she'd been given a chance to watch her family heal. Lily approached hesitantly. "Grandma Wang, can I call you that?" Grandma Wang looked at the child, the daughter of her greatest enemy, orphaned by her mother's crimes and her own sins. "Only if you'll let me call you my granddaughter." Lily hugged her, and Grandma Wang held tight, thinking of all the children she'd failed over the years. Perhaps she could save this one. 6 months passed. The wedding was beautiful. Thernling in white, Wang Zun in a tuxedo, and Zhao Yu as the flower girl, wearing a dress with a crescent moon embroidered on it. Even Lily was part of the bridal party, having been officially adopted by Grandma Wang and accepted into the Wang family. Zhao Yu's first professional concert sold out in minutes. Critics called her a prodigy. Universities offered full scholarships, but she chose to stay in Shanghai to continue learning, to stay close to her family. Chun Ling's investigative work led to the arrest of Chief Inspector Zhao for corruption and obstruction of justice. He was stripped of his rank and sentenced to community service, a humbling experience that might, possibly, lead to his own redemption. The Li Mei Foundation helped over 500 homeless children find homes and education in its first year. Zhao Yu taught free violin lessons to underprivileged kids every Saturday, passing on her mother's gift to a new generation. And Zhao Ling, in prison, began to change. She read every letter Lily sent. She took therapy seriously. She worked in the prison library, helping other inmates prepare for their GEDs. It would take years, maybe decades, but she was trying, finally, to be the woman her daughters deserved. 1 year after the DNA test that changed everything, the Wang family gathered at Li Mei's grave on a clear autumn afternoon. The grave was beautiful now, well maintained, covered in flowers and surrounded by a small garden that Zhao Yu had designed. Zhao Yu knelt and placed fresh peonies, her mother's favorite. "Hi, Mama. I brought everyone to meet you." Wang Zua knelt beside her. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I believed the lies. But I'm keeping my promise now. Zhao, you will never feel unloved. Never feel abandoned." She knew every day how much you wanted her. Ling placed a hand on her rounded belly, 6 months pregnant. "Thank you, Li Mei, for raising such an incredible daughter. I promise to honor your memory by loving her with everything I have." And she smiled through tears. "We're naming the baby Mei, after you." Zhao Yu looked up, eyes wide. "Really? My baby sister will be named Mei." "Really?" Wang Zun confirmed. "So your mother's legacy lives on." Grandma Wang stepped forward, leaning heavily on her cane. "Li Mei, I failed you. I judged you. I rejected you when you needed help most. I will spend the rest of my life trying to make amends. Your daughter has taught this old woman what true forgiveness looks like." Lily added softly, "I never met you, Aunt Li Mei, but I think we would have been friends. You loved even when it hurt. You forgave even when you had every right to hate. Thank you for teaching Zhao Yu to be kind, even to people like my mother and me." Single quotes. Zhao Yu picked up her violin and played a soft, gentle version of her mother's lullaby. Not sad anymore, but peaceful. The music floated over the cemetery as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. When she finished, a gentle breeze blew through the garden, stirring the flowers and touching their faces like a caress. The jade pendant around Zhao Yu's neck caught the light. "I found them, Mama," Zhao Yu whispered. "Our family." and I think you've been guiding me to them all along." Wang Zuan wrapped one arm around Zhao Yu and the other around Chun Ling. Grandma Wang and Lily stood close. For a long moment, they remained there, a family born of tragedy and forgiveness, of pain and healing, of hate transformed into love. As they finally turned to leave, Zhao Yu looked back one more time. "I love you, Mama. Forever." The breeze blew again, and for just a moment. Everyone could have sworn they heard the whisper of a violin Li Mei's melody, carried on the wind, blessing the family she had died to create. The music room of the Wang mansion had been transformed into a classroom. 10 children from underprivileged backgrounds sat with donated violins, watching as 9-year-old Zhao Yu demonstrated a difficult technique. "Remember," she told them, with the patience of someone twice her age, "music isn't about being perfect, it's about sharing your heart." Chun Ling, now holding 3-month-old baby Mei, watched from the doorway with Wang Zun. The baby had her father's nose and her mother Li Mei's eyes, a perfect blend of past and present. "She's a natural teacher," Wang Zun murmured. "She learned from the best," Chun Ling replied. "Both her mothers." Wang Zun kissed his wife's temple, then his daughter's tiny forehead. "We're lucky, we're blessed," Chun Ling corrected. The doorbell rang. A servant entered. "Ma'am, Miss Lily has arrived." Lily entered, now 13, and carrying college brochures. She'd been living with Grandma Wang for a year, and the transformation was remarkable. She smiled easily now, laughed often, and was no longer the tool of her mother's revenge, but simply a teenager, figuring out who she wanted to be. Aunt Chun Ling, Uncle Wang Zuan. She ran to hug them, then cooed over baby Mei. "She's gotten so big." "Zhao, you finished her class and rushed over." "Lily, you came. Do you want to hold Mei?" As Lily gently took the baby, looking at her with wonder, Wang Zuan thought about how far they'd all come. From tragedy to this, a living room full of music and laughter, children learning and growing, love flowing freely where hate had once reigned. Grandma Wang entered, moving slowly, but with more peace in her face than Wang Zun had seen in years. "Family dinner is ready." They gathered around the table. Wang Zun, Chun Ling, baby Mei, Zhao Yu, Lily, Grandma Wang. Even Quan, who had become so much a part of their lives that he might as well have been family. The table that once sat 20 in cold formality now seated 7 in warm chaos. As they ate and laughed and talked over each other, Zhao Yu looked around at the faces she loved and felt a warmth in her chest that she now recognized as home. On the mantel, a photograph of Li Mei sat in a place of honor, surrounded by pictures of the new family. And beside it, Zhao Yu's first violin rested on a stand. The jade pendant hanging from its neck, reminder of where they'd come from and how far they'd traveled. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Wang Zuan stood in baby Mei's nursery, watching his new daughter sleep. Chun Ling joined him, slipping her hand into his. "Do you think Li Mei knows," she asked softly, "that we're trying to honor her memory?" "I think she knows," Wang Zane replied. "I think she's been watching over us all along, guiding Zhao Yu to us, sending you to save us, making sure that even though she couldn't be here, her love would be." From the next room, they heard Zhao Yu playing her violin softly, her nightly ritual, a lullaby for her baby sister. The melody was Li Mei's composition, but somehow it sounded different now, not sad anymore, hopeful, peaceful, complete. Chun Lin leaned her head on Wang Zhen's shoulder. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Better than okay, he promised. We're going to be happy. And in the morning, when Zhao Ling received her weekly letter from Lily, she would read about baby Mei and Zhao Yu students and the family dinners. And for the first time in 25 years, she would smile without bitterness, without rage, without the crushing weight of revenge unfulfilled. She would write back, "I'm proud of you, Lily. I'm proud of the family you've found. And I'm grateful that the Wang family gave you what I never could, unconditional love. Tell Zhao Yu. Tell her that her mother would be proud, and tell her I'm sorry for everything." In her cell, Zhao Ling would pick up a photograph of baby Tang Fayed, the daughter she'd lost, to make a promise. "I'm trying to be better, my child. Finally trying to be better." Because that's what Zhao Yu had taught them all. It's never too late to choose love over hate.